All right, we're at the Greenwich Concours de Elegance 2015 on BeTerrific. I'm Michael Artsis. Thanks so much for joining us. It's a beautiful day out here, and we found Frank Chicherchia with his '69 Chevelle Yanko. First of all, tell me about the Yanko.
Yenko was a guy in the 60s that was a famous racer, and he owned a Chevy dealership, and he came up with the idea of manufacturing supercars and selling them to the public. And he was very successful at it. He kind of like started the whole muscle car craze, and he passed away in '87, but he left behind some magnificent machines. And his daughter's still alive today, Lynn Yanko, and she autographed this car. And she used to stripe these cars when she was a child.
When she was a child?
Yep, when she was like 13 to 14, 15, in that area. She would.
Your daughter's not much older than that. Could you imagine letting her stripe the car?
For $5 a piece, it was cheap labor.
The thing that's amazing is basically this guy is a modern day Hennessy or some of these other tuners before Hennessy existed.
Yes, he's the grandfather. He was he had the idea of putting big motors into regular street cars that an average worker guy could buy and be successful at the track the very next day.
What is the most appealing part about muscle cars in that way? Because if you look at muscle cars, I always think it's because they're kind of sleepers, and I like the idea that they're kind of sleepers in some way, shape, or form, but they're modified, they have a little sharpness to them, a little sleekness to them, and then you can really drive them as a luxury vehicle, which most muscle cars started life as, or then get up and go with them and really pound it. That's it in a package, but is that the allure behind them? Is that what makes them so special? Is like literally you could drive this to work and maybe the people at the office don't even know you have anything special. Maybe there's a hint because it looks a little bit different, but of course, if this is '69, not today.
Well, you're quite a bit younger than I am, and back when I grew up, street racing for money was the name of the game, and you didn't want your competition knowing that you had a lot of horsepower because they wouldn't bet you. So you would try to make it as what the word I'm gonna use is unsuspecting as possible, and street race, which was at every stoplight, was taking place in America when I grew up, and it's since it's gone, but this is what we grew up with.
So tell me about this car. How'd you get it? How'd you restore it? And what's the deal with it? So let's start with what's the deal. What's special about this Yanko?
They made Chevelle Yenkos only 1 year. They made Yanko Camaros 3 years, Yanko Novas 2 years, but they made Yanko Chevelle only 1 year. It was a full-size car for a larger person, and they only made 99 of them. And there's only 35 left in the world known to exist, with 3 with the original engines. This is one of the 3. This car was never raced. This car was always garaged. It was babied. There's 18,000 original miles on it. The original owner's live and well in Dundee, Florida. And it's got every piece of paperwork since it was new. The guy was a muscle car fanatic, and he cherished it like it should have been cherished. And this car made it through without blowing its motor, and like all the other race car guys, blew it up the weekend. They were only a week old and they blew the engine up. So this car made it through, which is amazing.
That is remarkable. What did you do to restore it, and have you done anything, or is it completely stock?
It's completely stock. I had purchased it from an auction type setting, and it hasn't been shown ever, as far as I know, till today.
Really?
Yeah. It's
wow.
The first time it's ever been shown to the public.
And was this a special color paint? Did he do a special color paint, or was this a factory paint job?
There was 8 choices of colors you can get with Yankos. This was one of them, Le Mans Blue, which is actually the most popular of them all.
And did you repaint it? You've restored this car, or not at all, because it only had 18,000 miles. It didn't really need much except for rubber and a couple of little things.
Yeah, we restored the car, and we did a lot of cosmetic restoration on it to bring it back to its fresh status, because it was laying in warehouses from collection to collection, never seeing the light of day. And when we got it, I realized how special the car was, and then we fixed it up into what you see right now.
How much horsepower?
450.
450 horsepower in 1969. That's pretty ridiculous. I noticed you got disc brakes on the front, drums on the back. I'm impressed that there are discs on the front.
Yes, that was a mandatory Yanko option. They all came with discs, power disc brakes, and drums on the back, every one of them. And rear mount antenna, M21 transmission, and 427, which was installed at which is another unique thing about this car is Yanko convinced and used his popularity to convince General Motors to put the big engines in, which was never done before until this car, '69. And they, so it's a factory installed 427 versus somebody putting their own version in the car, which is pretty special. So they made 301 Copo cars, and then Yenko bought 99 of them and converted them to Yanko cars. So when you whittle all the numbers down, you got very few.
Wow. Wow. Very, very nice. Do you drive it at all? Do you enjoy it?
Yeah, I do. I drive it quite a bit.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
I drive
So
it.
more than 18,000 miles now.
I'm going to teach my 16-year-old daughter how to drive stick shift on this car in about 2 months.
That's awesome. Is she excited?
Yes, you better.
I know. She didn't seem excited.
She's holding it in, but she really wants to drive it. I said, fine.
Wow. That's a really cool dad. That's a really nice thing to do.
So you got to bring new generation into this hobby, else it's going to go away with all us elephants. It's got to be. You got to keep it fresh for the kids.
Have you pushed it hard at all? Have you really given it a good spin? It's a parade car now.
I'm not going to lie, no, because it's the original engine, and I don't want a chance hurting it.
I hear that, but I feel like you got to drive it. It's beautiful. Thank you so much, Frank. Congratulations with this, and good luck with teaching your daughter stick on that. That's going to be a little stressful, I think, especially when she stalls the first few times.
Well, if we meet here next year in a couple of dents, you know where that came from.
Thanks. We'll be back with a whole lot more from the Greenwich Concours to Elegance 2015. I'm Michael Artsis. Don't go anywhere.